Hi, this is Mike with Dive Rescue International, and welcome to Water Skills Wednesday. This video is part of a series to help improve swimmers' in-water ability, competency, and comfort. And our hope is that this series will help ease some of the anxiety many of us feel when we're confronted with the annual IADRS Watermanship Test. In this video, I'll help explain that test and the 5 exercises swimmers complete to earn passing marks. These 5 exercises evaluate swimmer stamina and comfort in the water, and each of the test components is based on an activity that every public safety diver faces or may face. That is, they're not randomly selected events. It's actually a really great test. 4 of the exercises are rated by points, and 1 exercise is rated pass-fail. There are 20 possible points swimmers can earn, and a minimum passing score is 12 points. In order to be valid, the test must be completed in succession on the same day and at the same location with not more than 15 minutes rest between exercises. And really it's recommended that not more than 10 minutes elapse between events. Swimmers are not allowed thermal protection of any kind, and toward the end of the test, divers will wear either recreational style dive gear, that's for dive teams, but for surface rescue teams like swiftwater only teams or ice rescue only teams that are going to attempt the test, they'll be wearing a mask, fin, snorkel, and a PPE for that section of the test. And all that gear needs to be pre-positioned and ready to go before the start of the test to avoid any unnecessary delays between events. Swimmers must successfully complete all 5 events, and an incomplete marked on any section indicates that a candidate has failed the test. There are some additional considerations for administering the test, which include the following. First, a warning order should be issued that the test will begin shortly, and each candidate should be asked if they feel they can safely undertake the test. Each candidate should have the option to opt out and test at a later date if conditions warrant. Conditions may include illnesses like an upper respiratory infection or a recent injury. Second, it is strongly recommended that an EMS unit with ALS-capable crew be present at the pool testing site prior to the start of and with presence during the test in the event of candidate injury. Third, execute the test events in order, beginning with the 500-yard swim. Any candidate unable to complete the 500-yard swim must not continue the test and should be removed from active duty status until medically cleared by a physician to resume diver duty. Fourth, no swim aids except those explicitly listed are allowed. Fifth, candidates should be reminded to hydrate between events. They'll be sweating, but they'll be wet, so they won't know how bad it is. Remind them to drink water. And sixth, dive gear should be pre-positioned and prepped prior to the start of the exercises, as I mentioned before. Finally, seventh, the test requires a scorekeeper who's not actually involved in taking the test. There's no accurate way to test and administer the test at the same time. The first event is the 500-yard swim. Swimmers are not allowed swim aids of any kind, such as a dive mask, which includes the swimmer's nose, fins, snorkel, any flotation device, swimsuit that offers positive buoyancy, like a wetsuit, even a shorty, anything like that, or an exposure suit, which offers thermal protection. Swimmer goggles are acceptable, just like the little tiny ones. I definitely wear those. But the idea here is that it's just the swimmer and the water. So stopping, standing up, grasping the lane lines, pool deck for support constitutes failure in the evaluation. Swimmers begin in water, where a push-off from the wall is authorized. This portion of the test requires a 500-yard continuous swim, and candidates can use any forward stroke. Using a forward stroke means that swimmers can choose from or alternate between the following strokes. A crawl, or freestyle stroke, it's known as. A breaststroke, side stroke, or they can even butterfly, I suppose. But what's not allowed is turning over, backstroking in any way, standing up, stopping the event. It's a 500-yard continuous swim. The 500-yard swim is included because as a baseline, all public safety dive operations involve swimming. This event is placed first in the series as a measure of diver confidence, competence, and fitness. and any swimmer unable to complete the 500-yard swim is ineligible to continue the test and should be evaluated and cleared by a physician prior to retesting or participating in any other dive event. This event is timed for points, and if completed in under 10 minutes, earns the full 5 points. 4 points go to swimmers completing the swim in 10 to 13 minutes. 13 to 16 minutes earns 3 points. 16 to 19 minutes earns 2 points. 19 or more minutes earn 1 point. And an incomplete is marked if the swimmer stops or fails to complete the exercise. The second exercise is the 15-minute water tread. So wearing only a swimsuit and without any swim aids, participants tread water for 15 minutes with their hands only out of the water for the last 2 minutes of the test. Drown-proofing, bobbing, and floating are acceptable alternatives to basic treading water. As long as the swimmer has their hands out of the water for the last 2 minutes, they'll earn the full 5 points. Drown-proofing and bobbing are not for this exercise, the military-style hands tied behind your back, drown-proofing, up and down, but rather just an indication that swimmers do not need to necessarily keep their head or face out of the water for the entire event. This test section, is worth 5 points for swimmers successfully completing all components. 3 points for completing but failing to keep your hands out of the water for the last 2 minutes. That's still pretty good. And 1 point if the swimmer at any time uses the side of the pool or the bottom of the pool for support, and swimmers receive an incomplete if they do that 2 or more times. The third exercise is the 800-yard mask, fins, and snorkel swim. In this event, swimmers must wear a mask, fins, and snorkel, and hopefully a swimsuit, to complete a continuous 800-yard swim. Swimmers must not use their arms at any time to aid in their forward progress, and must keep their face in the water the entire time, breathing through a snorkel. No BCD or other flotation aid is allowed, and swimmers begin this event in water and are allowed to push off the wall initially, and in your required turn. The fins make it a little bit harder if you're doing a lot of laps. Use of arms is not permitted except to reorient after a turn. This event mimics public safety diver and surface rescue activities as we aggressively fin swim on trainings and missions, and it tests for lower body strength and endurance required in these operations. The 800 mask, fins, and snorkel swim is scored for time. Swimmers successfully completing in under 15 minutes earn 5 points. 15 to 17 minutes earns 4 points. 17 to 19 minutes earns 3 points. 19 to 21 minutes earns 2 points. And swimmers completing in over 21 minutes still earn 1 point. But swimmers who stop or cannot breathe their snorkel for the duration of the test or use their arms excessively are marked incomplete. Exercise 4 is the 100-yard Inert Rescue Toe. Although this is called a diver toe, swimmers may either pull or push their inert diver. And obviously this event requires 2 people, the one testing and the one being pushed or pulled by that person. Both of them should be wearing appropriate recreational diver equipment, including BCD and fins, but not a full face mask or pony bottles or exposure suits. Surface rescue teams attempting this test may wear mask, fins, and snorkel and a PFD in lieu of dive gear. Swimmers often find placing the inert diver's fin feet on their shoulders and just jamming forward, breathing through their snorkel, facing the water, is a very efficient way for completing this section of the test, but other configurations are certainly acceptable. Ideally, the rest time before this event should be no more than 10 minutes, and so, as I said before, pre-planning is important. Make sure that the dive gear or swiftwater type rescue gear is ready to go. This section is timed for points, and completion in under 2 minutes earns full 5 points. 2 to 3 minutes earns 4 points. 3 to 4 minutes earns 3 points. 4 to 5 minutes, 4 points, and 1 point goes to swimmers completing in more than 5 minutes. And incompletes are marked to swimmers who failed to complete the test. The fifth and final event is a free dive to 9 feet and the retrieval of an object. The parameters for what this object teams are going to retrieve off the bottom of the pool is not listed in the testing rules, but an object like a 5-pound soft weight work well. Maybe a dive brick can be found at your local pool that you're going to be at for you to use. Dive teams can retrieve these kinds of objects over and over again and drop them without injuring the bottom of the pool. The object shouldn't be too small, maybe like a set of keys, shouldn't be too big like a cinder block, just something reasonable for divers to go and get. Swimmers, wearing only their swimsuit and goggles if they wish, free dive to retrieve the object. This means that they're in the water, invert, and descend to the object, and they bring it back to the surface, show it off, and drop it for the next guy. Diving from the pool edge is not allowed. So that's the IADRS Watermanship Test and clarification of how each event is supposed to be run. We hope this video is informative and helpful to you and your team's success. Remember, quality training and equipment saves lives, and for information on any of our training or equipment, contact us at Dive Rescue International anytime. It's 800-248-3483. Thanks.